Welcome to Golf and the Good Life, your guide to golf travel across the pond. I'm DJ Jones, he's Connor Evers, and we are glad to be back with you after a brief hiatus for the holiday season. We took a little bit of time off there to celebrate the holidays and the new year. Connor, how was your break, and how is the start of 2024 treating you so far?
Absolutely. Thanks, DJ, for the introduction, and Happy New Year to you and to all the listeners listening to Golf and Good Life podcast. Happy New Year, everyone. Yeah, break was great. I spent time with some with family. It was probably the longest duration of time I've been home since college, I would say, or even before college. So it was great, very relaxing, and it was good. And celebrated the New Year's here in Cincinnati. So it was a solid break, good time off. But looking forward to our traveling here in the upcoming golf travel season in 2024. And as you've all know, we are planning for 2025 as we speak. So all good things here at HQ DJ. How was your break?
Yeah, it was a great break. Just like you, a lot of family time. I'm a proud uncle, so it was great to spend time with the three of them, especially given the Christmas festivities with the young kids. But a little bit of travel mixed in as well. I actually just got back from a ski trip last night to Colorado. So if I sound a little bleary, it is because, well, it was a long day in the Denver airport, but here we are. But yes, looking forward to 2024. Obviously it's going to be another very busy year. Quite frankly, it's another record year on the books for H&B. But this is the time of year where it's typically when you try to catch your breath in between the seasons. The seasons are go, go, go. And it's really the best time for us to just kind of take a deep breath and get ready for the year ahead. But the best way or the biggest thing that essentially takes our time in terms of getting ready for the year ahead is we kind of fan out overseas to check in with all of our golf and good life partners, not only to see, how they're doing and to say thank you for all of their efforts, but also to help discover some new things. And this is vitally important because, as we've talked about here on the show, the good life is one of those key things that kind of separates H&B from other golf travel companies. But our commitment to it goes beyond simply, whipping together a list that anybody can do on ChatGPT these days. It's about experiencing these things firsthand because that is the best way to really gauge, does this place align with the expectations of our travelers? Is this something that we feel comfortable recommending? It's amazing how quickly those things can change. And so you have to stay on top of it. We have to stay super vigilant. And this is the time of year where we do it. Over the last couple of months, Connor and myself and our colleague Mike Walters, we all kind of fanned out across Great Britain and Ireland to check in with many of those partners. And along the way, we discovered quite a few new things that we're going to be recommending ahead of 2024. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And Connor, I would love to hear the first spot that was either new to you ahead of next year.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough this year to head to England and more specifically the Channel Coast of England. It was a quick trip, and as well as not only was a quick trip, I found out within about a week's time that I was going on said trip. So it was fun. I found out on a Monday and was overseas on Saturday night. So like I said, quick little turnaround, but I loved it. It was great. I was fortunate, like I said, to go down to the Channel Coast of England and was able to play Royal St. Ports as well as Royal St. George's, and also did a tour and little visit of Princess Golf Club around the area. So it was great. All three clubs kind of merged, if you will, and had a international tour operator day. And myself representing H&B was the only tour operator from the States that was over. So it was good to, visit the clubs, like you said, DJ, and be in front of everything. So it was good. Like I said, I was able to play both clubs. Really had a great, enjoyable time at both. Cinque Ports was great. I mean, the third and fourth holes were incredible. Nothing wrong with the others, but some really, really interesting holes. Three being a really interesting par five, and four a very strategic par four. Lots of history, and it was just a pleasure playing it. And Royal St. George's, that's actually where the tour operator day was specifically hosted, and was able to play the course with the secretary of the club and a few other folks as well. So it was just a great opportunity to play and see the club and just kind of get it, boots on the ground experience, which was great. So both clubs were amazing. Again, unfortunately, didn't have enough time to play Prince's, but saw kind of the areas of the three 9-hole courses, and got to experience kind of the facilities and see how it was run there, and was also to stay on property at Prince's in the lodge. So it was great, good area. No, we haven't been there too often. No, GJ, you were there many years ago, I think, but it's an area that we needed to go to and experience. And one of the kind of things, was main goal of mine, if you will, of going over was finding some more lodging options in and around the area. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the future here. But like I said, it was a great trip, very quick compared to DJ's and our other colleague Mike's, but it was a solid trip, and I got to see that area quite well.
Yeah, I think we actually may have even joked on a past episode that, in your 2 day or 3 day trip, whatever it was, you played as many rounds of golf as I did during my 3 week trip. But I was also, the new to me area, if you will, this year was England's Gulf Coast. And this is the region that is, to use a city as the landmark that kind of is near Liverpool. If you're looking at the map, the town of Southport is the other kind of main city. And this was the last of our regions, so to speak, for me to experience. It was the only corner of the country that I hadn't seen and played firsthand, and so I was really excited to get there, especially on the heels of the Open Championship at Royal Liverpool, which, if you happen to watch, was a great tournament. Although Brian Harman didn't make it much of a tournament, kudos to him. But, the thing that we had talked about in the past on the podcast about England's Golf Coast is the fact that the concentration of great golf here is absolutely incredible, and you can do it all without ever changing hotels. And I think it really took me getting there, firsthand to see just really how convenient it is in that manner. If you stay in the town of Southport, Royal Liverpool and Royal Lytham, those are both, a commute that, might be in the neighborhood of an hour or maybe even a touch longer. But if you compare that to, say, Southwest Ireland, where that's every day, we're talking just 2 of the days have that commute. The rest, you're practically right there. The main thing that illustrated this was I'm sorry, I was standing at Hillside, the clubhouse at Royal Birkdale. I swear if I had taken a 7-iron and hit it twice, I could have hit the clubhouse. It's that close. And so it really just drove home how convenient, this area is. But, speaking of Royal Birkdale, that's one of the quote new things, if you will, ahead of the year. There's a lot of improvements taking place there. They're putting in a new par three that's going to face the clubhouse and kind of frame it, and it's going to be sort of that signature look, if you will. So look forward to seeing what comes out of that. I believe that hole will be in play here pretty soon. They've made some fantastic progress on it, but it was also really neat to see just all of the work that takes place in the off season. Not just these big, huge improvements like Birkdale is doing, but just the what might be considered minor to one of us at these clubs. It's actually kind of a huge undertaking. I watched the guys at Hillside working on one of the revetted bunkers, and forgive me, I can't remember exactly which hole it was. I was just out there with the drone, but I was watching them do it, and it turns out there were 34 layers of sod that were laid to make the face of this bunker. And it really just drove home, wow, like the effort that goes in this time of year to get these courses to where they are ahead of the season is monumental. But the other thing as well was just the passion that was on hand. Every person that you spoke to at the club, they're obviously they have a rich and deep history, and they're very proud of it for very good reason. But they were also just very welcoming, and it was great to see that kind of hospitality at those clubs where, sometimes the reputation, goes the other way. But it was the complete opposite of what you might expect. And then dealing with the good life, I stayed in the town of Southport, and Southport is an area that the convenience is wonderful. The town itself, you look at it and you go, gosh, there is so much potential here, to turn this into something, or to return it to what it was. Because you walk down the street and you're like, gosh, in in Queen Victoria's day, this place must have really been something. They're making strides. There's investment coming in, and it needs more of it. But one of the places that jumped off the page for me was a place called the Grand. It was a building that at one point was, I think it was a casino, and it was a car dealership, and it's been a number of things through the years. But it's 100 years old, got a massive investment, and they've turned it into something that feels like an old school New York supper club. Art Deco decor. There's a couple pictures of like Sinatra and Marilyn Monroe. The front part has a piano bar, and then there's a rooftop bar coming as well. And you look at this place and you go, wow, like more of this, please. Food was great, service was great, and it was clearly the place to be in town. And hopefully more of that type of stuff coming to the town of Southport. But Connor, keeping with England, I know that you came back with quite the recommendation, if you will, for lodging down toward the Channel Coast.
Absolutely, DJ. I was fortunate enough to stay at the Pig at Bridge Place, and was a incredible experience and stay. Just stayed for one night, but wish I could stay for a few others. I would say it's more of a quintessential English countryside retreat, if you will. It's kind of a small location. I think they only have 30 or 40 rooms total. I can't remember the exact number, but it's pretty small. And there's inside the old manor house. They have some rooms there, as well as they have some type of lodges and what have you outside of the actual manor house. I was able to stay in the, it's a funny name, but the Hop Picker Huts. They have 7 of them on property. And I would call them kind of like our log cabin, if you will. Hardwood flooring throughout. There's a separate bathroom, as well as a toilet and sink in another room. Had a king size bed in the middle, a tub inside the living room, as well as the coolest feature, which I liked and I used, was they had a kind of a old stove, so you can actually start a fire at night. So you had your own fireplace, which is really cool and unique. The local newspaper delivered to you in the morning. They also have some just other unique locations on property. They have a lodge with multiple bedrooms and different bathrooms as well. So there's a plenty of different options for different group sizes. The nice thing about it too is you're only about a 20 to 30-minute drive from that location to Prince's, Royal St. Ports, and Royal St. George's. They all share the same coastline, and all 3 courses are 5-10 minute drive from each parking lot, car park from each other. So they're all nice and close to each other. So again, it's about a 20 to 30-minute drive. And if you do have the opportunity to also play Rye Golf Club, which is the booking there is at secretary discretion only, you're a good hour's drive. So it's a great location. It's more in the countryside as well, which is really nice. The other big factor of it is they have a great restaurant on property, and all their meats and vegetables and what have you are all locally sourced. I know their beef they get from Ireland, actually, but other than that, everything that I was told is about a 35-mile radius from the property is actually all locally sourced from farmers. They also have some animals on property, so chicken. Some of my eggs at breakfast were actually from the hens there, which is really cool, and like I said, very unique. That was worth the visit of itself. Like I said, the golf is good, but the lodging was definitely a key component of that area. So, like I said, what we needed for lodging perspective.
Well, and it also drives home, both your experience there and mine up in England's Gulf Coast, that the strength of England, both of those regions, they tend to be like I don't know, like a fourth or fifth trip type stop. I mean, if you think about it, you start out in St. Andrews, and then you want to do Ireland, and then you got to do the rest of Ireland. And before you know it, you've missed these great courses in England.
Mhm.
And yet, so, but, and you're down to trip 4. I don't know which one you demote to move it up, but it just shows you how much great stuff there is overseas, and why, for so many of our travelers, it's not a one and done. We've said this before, the common thought of it being a one-off dream trip bucket list type thing. It's just not the case, because you can't do it all in one trip, so it
Mhm.
ends up being a 2 or 3 trip sort of thing. But moving north, we're actually going to cover some of the contributions from our colleague Mike Walters. You know, we tried to get Mike to come on the show, and he struck too hard of a bargain in terms of royalties from us. I think he's overstating our listenership, but at the same time, we said, well, no problem, we'll cover it for you. So Mike, he was over for actually longer than I was, I believe, and spent quite a bit of time in Scotland and over in Ireland. And his new to him place was Fortrose and Rosemarkie. There is nothing new about Fortrose and Rosemarkie. It's the 15th oldest club in the world, dates to 17 something. But Mike was absolutely in love with this place. I think he said he played it in, 40, 50 mile an hour wind gusts, which is some proper links golf. But let me tell you, with that place, that had to be something because this was my first experience with links golf. And the main thing that I remember is that how 18 holes of golf are squeezed onto this tiny peninsula is completely baffling. But they did. James Braid put it together back in the day, and it's a great spot. But the main thing that I have always taken from Fortress and Rosemarkie is that it's a perfect illustration of the strength of the quote unquote second tier courses in the Highlands. Everybody goes to play Dornoch and Nairn and Castle Stewart and maybe even Brora these days, but you could form a pretty great trip with, Fortrose and Tane and Galsby, and if you count Brora still in that second tier category, all on its own. I mean, they're just some great experiences, just wonderful links golf, just and the Highlands is blessed with so much of it. His other spot was a hotel in Dublin called the Marker, and the Marker has been on our radar for quite a bit of time. I stopped in there back in, I don't know, 2017, 2018 or something, just for drinks and dinner. And the lobby is incredibly unique. I'm a bit of a hotel geek, and this place just blew me away. But then someone who we've been familiar with for quite some time, Michael Davern, took on the role of GM. He had been at the K Club, and so kind of when that happened, we said, "All right, it's time for somebody to properly give the Marker a look." And Mike did, and was absolutely blown away. So we look forward to adding it to our places in Dublin that our members experience. But Connor, I think that the main takeaway from the three of us, and it's what it's kind of our lesson every single year, is that golf and the good life overseas is constantly changing, but it's also just continuously getting better and better because of so many new places. But before we wrap up and kind of look ahead to the new year, any final thoughts there?
Yeah, this has been a good podcast, DJ, and just a couple things that are going to change and increase from Golf and Good Life offerings in 2024, for some of those bookings in 24 or just for 25 in general. But kind of start in St. Andrews. So the Eden Mill Distillery, done some research on this, and they will open sometime this summer. We don't know the exact timing, but sounds like sometime this year, this summer, that will open. The Kings Barnes Distillery has kind of been that main key component in the town of St. Andrews. But again, a 15-minute drive outside the town, and the Eden Mill Distillery will actually be in town, from walking distance to a lot of things. So that'll be key. And then the reimagined Scores Hotel, it is now known as the Seton House. Saw some imagery online. It looks quite nice, DJ. So that will also open sometime this year in 24. Again, just like the Eden Mill Distillery, do not know a timing of when those things will occur. But it's needed, with Rusacks as well as the Old Course Hotel, having a lot of bookings. It's needed to kind of have some more offerings in St. Andrews, again, from that kind of 5-star perspective. We've talked about it before, but the new course at Cabot Highlands will also be ready for preview play at the end of 2024, and for play in 2025. Again, not exactly sure on some dates for this. The name of the course hasn't even been denoted yet as well, DJ. So not sure on that as well. But again, that is for preview play again in 24. But keep everyone updated once we know some more. And then just with the the area of Portrush for the Open in 2025, there's been a lot of folks that want to stay in and around the area, and that has caused some more hotels to planning on opening for 24 and then into 25 again for the Open in 2025. So again, not sure that names and timings of when they'll open, but we'll keep everyone posted on kind of those as well going forward as well. So as you said, DJ, the offerings of Golf and Give Life just continue to increase and get better from year to year.
Well, that is all great stuff, and will obviously give us plenty to talk about in the year ahead. As we wrap up this episode, it's worth noting that we have only scratched the surface here in terms of our new discoveries ahead of next season. In the show notes, we have linked to a blog post on our website where we've covered many more, including the Glen Eagles Townhouse, a few restaurants, and some other places. So give that a visit. Otherwise, if you have any questions, send us a DM on social media or an email, golf@haversham.com. But thank you, as always, for tuning in. We will be back again soon with another episode. But until then, we wish you plenty of golf at its finest and life at its best.